Valeri Kozlov. Greg Wyshynski. Valeri Kozlov.
Yes.
Does that name resonate at all with you?
Not at all.
So
is that perhaps the Finnish Howard Cosell? I don't know who this person is. Why are we talking about him to lead off the show?
Well, I was just going to do it with me and Zach, but there's one point of his biography that I want to share with you. So yesterday we were talking about goaltenders joining the rush, and there is video. I remember I saw this a million years ago. We probably talked about it during the old MVSW days. I think I saw this on HF boards in like 2012 or maybe 2013. It was an old video of HF boards, baby, of a Polish goaltender in international hockey, not just joining the rush, but scoring a goal, like just underneath the blue line, wired one. I believe it was on a 2-on-1. And I remember looking at it and going, oh, that's nice. I can always refer back to this particular page on HF boards and find it. Anyhow, it's vanished. And I'm like, I don't know who it was. So I looked it up last night. The guy's name was Valeri Kozlov, Polish netminder, who actually just passed away like a week ago or a week and a half ago. But you know what else he used to do? You'll love this. This is why I bring it up around you. Just because, like, some things I do when we're on together, I just want to see your reaction. There's no conversation around it. I just want to see your reaction. What he would do, allegedly, because I haven't seen any videos. Allegedly. Yeah. But I could see it. This guy was kind of a character. I've never heard of a goaltender doing this before, but here I go. He would hide a harmonica in his pads, and during breaks, he would play it.
All right. So he would hide a harmonica in his pads, like Jordan Binnington with a 900th goal puck.
Correct.
And he would play the harmonica
at breaks
during stoppages and play.
Correct. That's the best thing I've ever heard.
So if the arena is playing, I don't know, Blues Traveler's Hook, he's getting his John Popper on.
Well, this is before, game ops obviously, took over, and no one can have a conversation at a rink anymore because the minute the referee blows the whistle, it's oons, 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 nonstop as you yell to the person next to you. He was, and this is before maybe there weren't organs where he was playing, and he just decided to would play a harmonica every now and then at breaks. Come on, man.
I'm just trying to still work through a Polish goalie who thought his job was to score goals instead of stop them. And I can make that joke. I'm a Wyshynski.
I'm a Marek. Trust me, I can do the same thing.
Polish for comedic effect.
I was born Irish and then adopted into a Polish family. Keegan Sean Laughlin's my birth name. Jeffrey James Marek is my adopted name. So I can get right in there with the Poles and the Irish jokes as well.
We need more goalie props on the ice. We need more goalies who, again, what do they do between the whistles? They skate around, they do neurotic things, they douse their hair with water if you're Braden Holtby back in the day, so you can whip it around like you're in a finesse commercial. But I like the idea of, maybe take out some knitting needles, maybe
Jacques Plante.
Go through your
Jacques
your Pokemon
Plante,
card.
Famously, so there you go. So Jacques Plante was the NHL's most famous knitter. On the road, Jacques Plante would knit scarves and hats and mitts to send them back home while the boys were all out getting debauched. That's what he would do on the train. That's what he would do at the hotel. That's you're describing Jacques Plante.
Now,
who you're describing.
Now, why didn't he get the Dougie Hamilton treatment? Dougie Hamilton wanted to go to a museum once, and he was run out of Calgary for being too fancy to have beers with the boys. And here's Jacques Plante knitting a scarf for his uncle.
Hang on.
He was lauded for it?
Because Montreal is the most artistic / European city in North America. And if Dougie Hamilton were playing for the Montreal Canadiens, he would be celebrated, not derided, the way that he was for wanting to go to an art gallery or to a museum. If that guy played for the Habs, it'd be like, this is amazing.
Where is Dougie? Oh, Dougie is at the Met.
100%.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, then. By the way, you know what the great thing about Dougie Hamilton is? His parents. His parents. You know why?
Well, they made him. Why?
Well, they made him. They were both athletes themselves. His name is Dougie, not Doug. And his brother's name is Freddie, not Fred. Like, they made the nickname the name. It's like you are destined to be this play. You are destined to play in the NHL or somewhere. And if we call you Doug, they're just going to call you Dougie anyway. So on your birth certificate, it's going to say Dougie.
There you go.
I love that.
I like
No
it.
pressure, kid.
You know, thinking about goalies that join the rush, I think you and I discussed in the past the idea in the All-Star Skills Competition. I don't know why they never did this, because honestly, it would have put the spotlight on the goalies in a way that they've never had it before.
Goalie
Why
fights.
didn't they ever? No, not goalie fights. Although,
Oh.
again, the bat signal just went up for Jordan Binnington again. Second time we've talked about him on the show. No, I don't know why they never did the thing where they let the goalies take shots on the players and they put the pads on the players. Now, granted, I know one reason why, which is that the league probably and the teams don't want, Sidney Crosby to shred his groin trying to stop a one-timer from Marc-Andre Fleury. But I thought that would have been such an interesting novelty at the skills competition, is to put the spotlight on the goalies and their actual skills as stick handlers and puck handlers versus the players who can then strap on the pads. That'd be a hilarious time.
You know what I want to see on NHL Edge? Which is
that?
sort of its own civic, because NHL Edge, part of it is like it's skills competition-y. Who's got the fastest burst, etc.
Who skated the most miles?
Yes, that kind of stuff. Is it too geeky to say I want to know who the fastest ref is, the fastest linesman? Like which line? Okay, not to embarrass anybody, but really to embarrass some of the guys. I want to know who the linesman can skate faster than. Don't you?
Oh, you want to know who they skate? See, I thought you were going to say not to embarrass guys, but I thought you were going to say who the slowest linesman is. Some of the troubles that we have in this league because we have guys lagging behind like a friggin' caboose.
We don't have
on the ice.
Well, that used to happen specifically in the one referee system. And you go back, like the one thing you go back and you look at like old timey referees, there are a lot of guys with barrels. And there was a very funny incident about one, and that we talked about with Larry Brooks the other day, I believe, involving when and Jim Schoenfeld and a donut.
Have another donut, you fat pig.
Yeah, I know. That was quite the moment. Then we saw some officials in yellow jerseys, which added a whole new dimension to that dynamic. But anyhow, aren't you curious about like how fast officials actually are, or am I just like way too in the weeds on this goofy shit?
Honestly, I don't think you're in the weeds, but I also think it wouldn't surprise me if they were exemplary skaters, not only because of the profession they've chosen, but because
where they come from.
I don't want to impugn the officiating community. I feel like I already did that by having tequila shots with Tim Peel that one time and costing him a game. I digress.
That happened.
Don't you think most on-ice officials are guys that were really good skaters?
Yes, 100%. Look where they recruit from.
But were unable to have the total package as players. Like, it wouldn't shock me if a linesman could outskate a winger because
100%.
He probably could, but he just couldn't put the puck in the net or whatever.
Yeah. That's what they recruit from, like, X Division 1 athletes, European pros, like these type of guys that had like a background playing junior hockey, and then they went and played in the East Coast League. They're not called that anymore. The ECHL. That is where they recruit from. So yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious. I want like an entire. I can hear everybody at Scouting the Refs, which is the best site, with their ears perked up, going like, wait a minute, referee official skills competitions. Now got me.
Do you use NHL Edge besides simply just for, trivia's sake sometimes during these discussions?
No, not really. Not a
I don't either.
I give it I'll be on NHL Edge twice a week. Twice a week.
But for what though?
Speed. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Because I want to be actually surprised. I want to be like, ooh, I never knew that like Luke Glendening hit that speed. Like, oh, I never would have expected. Like that's the kind of stuff that I'm intrigued by.
I'm happy we have it because I am intrigued
So
when I'm watching a broadcast and they have these little factoids about how many miles a guy has skated or the top speed of a guy. Like that stuff's pretty interesting on television. I thought I would use it more as a utility than I have. And I don't know if it's just kind of out of sight, out of mind because it's like separate from the stats I traditionally use on NHL.com. But I am surprised I don't use it more. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe there's no like true functionality to it for the stuff that I do as a writer to need to know some of this stuff. I couldn't tell you why.
Would you go on it more if, say, I don't know, we had, Wes McCauley's highest speed burst put up against
No,
player
but
X.
to go back to our conversation from a minute ago, I do remember now why I probably don't visit it as much, which is I am the guy who occasionally likes to go to Evolving Hockey and then click through to see who has, the worst war. I like to go to Money Puck and see who has the highest minus lowest goal save that I've expected. If I could use NHL Edge to find out who the slowest, shittiest skater is in this league, I would probably use it every day. But the NHL and the NHLPA decided to structure that site so we can't use it for the things that are fun.
Well, for fear of embarrassing anybody.
I know. God.
But you know what, though?
Forbid we have stats that embarrass professional athletes.
Listen, don't shoot the messenger. But I would say the players would want that, too. I'm sure the Players Association wouldn't, but I'm sure the players would. Anyhow, I thought that maybe we'd talk more about goaltenders and harmonicas. And somehow we took that conversation to letting you rip on NHL Edge, but here we are. Let's get to what's on the program today, shall we? Greg Wyshynski. The Blueprint is powered by FanDuel, as always. Download the app today and play your game on FanDuel. And the lead you've already heard from. He is Greg Wyshynski from ESPN.com and ESPN. It is MVSW Thursday. Always look forward to that. More of that coming up in a couple of moments. We'll talk about youth around the NHL. The latest from around the league, David Alter from the Hockey News, who covers the Toronto Maple Leafs. No shortage of things to talk about today, including an Austin Matthews sighting. Brad Treliving, Leafs general manager, spoke today. And here we are, November 18th, Greg Wyshynski. And I was just having this conversation with Zach before we got hot. Is this a must-win game for the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight against the St. Louis Blues, coming off of a win by the Buffalo Sabres last night, who they are currently dueling with for the basement in the Eastern Conference? Noah Ostlund for the Rocket Richard Trophy, as an aside.
Oh, man, right? Now the kids are starting to play a little bit for the Sabres.
Isak Hossein's getting a chance. Let's go.
We're in a good part of this season for the Sabres. Remember this week, everybody, in about 2 weeks.
Let's go, Sword.
Nothing's a must win for the Leafs until they get Tanev and Matthews back. Let's be honest. I mean, like Matthews, obviously, because he's Matthews. I don't think you can overstate how much taking a guy like Chris Tanev out of the lineup impacts this team. Like I know we're going to talk to Alter about the Leafs. I don't want to make this Leafs lunch or whatever the hell. But I
like that show.
I do think it's interesting that both Berube and Treliving have talked about the compete level of this team and how it's been inconsistent game to game. And when I think about the intangibles that a Chris Tanev gives to the lineup, that would be the intangible. I think Chris Tanev is such a gamer and a guy that you love out there to be your pace setter, and he blocks a shot with his face. All the stuff that Chris Tanev does, I think, can bleed throughout this lineup and improve the overall compete level. So I don't think there's really a sense of panic until they get those guys back and they're continuing to lose games. But I don't know. We'll talk about it with Alter later, but I just find it hilarious that Brad Treliving gets up there and he's talking about how vanilla this team is. And again, man, dude, it's your ice cream shop. Okay, you pick the flavors. Like, there's a reason you only have vanilla and not all the other flavors, man. You built this. You built this city. It's your team.
Yeah, I know. Mayonnaise cake with vanilla frosting. I get it. I understand. We'll get there with David Alter at the bottom of the hour. Oilers aren't Oilering, or are they Oilering, considering it's November? And this is what the Oilers do early. But
yeah, that's what they do early.
So is that just how you're going to shrug this one off? Just like, whatever, they dropped one of the swords last night. Big deal. They're going to be fine. They're going to turn things around. But like, until there's a correction with the goaltending and or Darnell Nurse and or Jake Wallman, I don't know that things are turning around for the Edmonton Oilers.
I would like everybody to open up another window if you're in the chat, if you're listening to this on a podcast. Like, look at this when you get a chance. Don't do it while you're driving, ladies and gentlemen. Please don't. But go to Daily Faceoff, okay, and then look at the Edmonton Oilers lineup.
Yeah.
And take a look at the bottom six
Yeah.
And in particular, take a look at all the wingers that don't play on the top line. And then ask yourself this question. Is this actually a playoff team? Like, this is by far the most diminished lineup that they've had in the last 3 seasons. I'm kind of astonished that a team that knew what their window looked like tried to pull off this gambit with low-cost bottom 6 players with kids on the roster. And then you go back and think about what McDavid decided with the contract, and you start to understand why it was a 2-year deal. I think clearly the record is indicative of the trend that we've seen in the past, Marek, with this team getting off the blocks pretty poorly to start the season. But listen, it's hard to say they miss Evander Kane when he's been as bad as he's been in Vancouver. And it's hard to look at Corey Perry, even though he's been great in LA, and say that's the thread you pull and the sweater unravels in Edmonton. But like those kinds of players
Perry specifically
are desperately needed in this lineup.
Perry specifically.
And Perry specifically, yeah. Yes. I'm kind of astonished that they've let this team get to this state, considering where the stakes are for winning in the next 3 years.
And this is, again, we made this point when McDavid signed his contract, and this is why I look at it and I say, like, there's something wrong when the best player in the game looks at his team and says the only way for this to get solved and for me to correct the errors of the regime before us here, going back to Ken Holland, is I need to take a deep, deep discount. You know, I was talking to someone last week about the Oilers who brought up a great point. Does this not look, like, think of all the Oilers teams of recent note, does this not look the closest to the era of Dave Tippett? Does this not look like the Dave Tippett Oilers right now? And ever since this person said it to me, every Oilers game that I watch, I'm like, holy smokes, you know what? He's right. It does. It looks like
maybe they can address
Oilers.
it as they get closer to. Maybe they can address it as they get closer to the trade. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe there's ways to build out this team and build out this roster again. But this doesn't strike me as a team that's going to, turn it around and make the playoffs and all of a sudden go on another run. I mean, I do think they'll turn it around and make the playoffs. But when you look around that Western Conference, is this team as currently constituted even coming close to beating the Colorado Avalanche in the playoffs? I mean, no. Dallas? Probably not.
Well, no, they
the Kings, of course.
No, they
because,
beat Dallas.
The
They beat
Kings
hang on. They beat the Kings and they beat Dallas. Like these are the things that we know. But right now, like you say, like who's closer to winning the Stanley Cup right now today? I'll tell you, it's the Dallas Stars, of course. But then
speaking of Dallas,
yes,
I know that there's a whole thing in Toronto about firing Berube, which I don't think they'll do, even though it may be a little concern for him that Treliving gave him a vote of confidence today.
Yeah.
I know there's like Leafs fans that think throwing Pete DeBoer at this problem in Toronto is going to fix everything. I don't agree. I think this would be probably the worst roster he's taken over as a head coach in his last like 3 stops. But I was talking to some people in Edmonton this morning about, do you throw Pete DeBoer at the Oilers problem? And that's intriguing because they're obviously a team on the precipice, and I think top to bottom are probably better than Toronto is, maybe. I don't know. Mm-hmm. But the thing that I find really intriguing about it is there a point in which Knobloch takes the fall for the construction of this team and the deficiencies in goal? And if that ever happened,
Woodcroft
how
did.
does McDavid...
Hang on. Woodcroft did. Jay Woodcroft did. Woodcroft totally did.
And who did they bring in? They brought in Connor's guy.
Yeah.
Although he had nothing to do with it, ladies and gentlemen, do not put that on Connor McDavid. He was gifted his junior coach.
Hang on
he had no idea it was going to happen.
No, hang on 1 second. I will tell you that Jeff Jackson, going back to when he was an agent, representing even after Connor had moved on, and he had clients on the Erie Otters, and Chris Knobloch was coaching the Erie. He was always like, this guy's coaching in the NHL. I know.
And then they hired his junior coach, and Connor's like, I don't even know her. Now listen, I do wonder though at the end of the day, if they fired Knobloch, like, first of all, how does Connor react to that? Because I don't think it's Knobloch's fault. I think Knobloch gets another job in this league in a millisecond based on what he's done with this roster and despite that goaltending. But now you don't have Knobloch and you don't have Gulletson and you bring in Pete DeBoer. I don't know if that's really good for vibes, man. I got to be honest with you. If it ever happened.
The thing about, okay, so let's have a look at like what the Oilers are doing now. A lot of their defensemen like to shoot from the point. Okay, with Chris Knobloch's team. Who else has always had teams that shoot from the point? Peter DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at Peter DeBoer's history, and this is one of the points that I think DeBoer has always made, is playoff goals specifically are scored off rebounds. And that's how he has his defensemen shoot. It starts in the regular season and it carries on right through to the postseason. His guys shoot for rebounds. Are the Oilers a team that can score a lot of goals off rebounds? The easy answer and the obvious answer is yes. This is a team that's built to score out, and now with Hyman even more so than ever. That's why I wouldn't look at the idea of bringing in Pete DeBoer and say like, no, that one wouldn't work. This is a team that takes a lot of shots from the point. Bouchard, obviously, even Ekholm fires a ton. Darnell Nurse fires a ton from the points. Jake Wallman as well. That's why I look at it and say, okay, you know what? That's one box that you check for DeBoer. But they're not shots to score. They're shots to make rebounds. And that's always been Pete's teams. Shoot from the point to make rebounds, not to score goals. One of the knocks against Edmonton is too many shots from the point.
Okay, but beyond that strategery, like, does Pete DeBoer all of a sudden fix the other systemic problems with this lineup? Is he just that good of a coach where all of us like this team doesn't have the depth that those Dallas teams had? Does it?
Nope. No, nor does it with Vegas. The thing about DeBoer,
and by the way, if he thought Jake Ottinger was the problem in Dallas,
he did.
What is he going to shoot Stuart Skinner into the sun during his first week in Edmonton?
That would be interesting. No, but here's the other thing about, and this might go sort of contrary to how you think the Oilers should be run from a player usage point of view. If you go back and you look at all of Peter DeBoer's teams, the one thing he does, this is more regular season than playoff. The one thing he always does is forwards don't get more, usually don't get more than 20 minutes, and your fourth line guys don't get less than 10. Now, to your point, I don't know how many of these guys you want even playing that much with the Oilers, but that's how he runs benches. Jim Montgomery runs benches that same way, and so does Pete DeBoer. It's that sweet spot between 10 minutes for your lowest guys and 20 minutes for your highest guys to try to get everybody involved and not just lean on a couple of guys. Obviously, desperate times call for desperate measures in a game, and you're going to put Connor and Leon together because you need to manufacture 2 goals fast, and you look up and they've both played 25 minutes. I get it, but that's how he runs benches. Does that fit for Edmonton? Discuss amongst yourselves.
Yeah,
I don't know that it's necessarily the worst idea.
Can we just discuss the bigger picture here with both Toronto and Edmonton? The urgency to win in this league is so intense, and made more intense by certain timelines being established, like McDavid's contract, and also having played for the Cup in consecutive seasons. Isn't it okay just to like loosen your belt and take a breath and take a beat one season? I look at Toronto. There was no way they were ever going to replace 100 points on their wing or all the things Marner did in the regular season. And I look at Edmonton and I'm like, this is just like the law of diminishing returns in your lineup.
Okay, hold on one second.
It just isn't as good as the teams that they've had before.
With Toronto, I think you can take that pause. Here's why you can't for Edmonton. Connor McDavid just gave you a massive gift.
Right.
And you're going to go to Connor and say, you know what? Thanks for the 2 years. But we're going to chill. We're going to chill on this year. Whereas if he didn't, like, let's just assume that that 2 year extension doesn't exist. Okay. What is Edmonton doing right now with Connor McDavid in the lineup? Let's say the 2 years don't exist. They're going for it, right? Everything, like no prospects, no picks, nothing. None of that is sacred. All of it is on the table. Connor McDavid gives you this gift of a contract extension, and the first thing you do is you go to him and say, yeah, you know what? Thanks for that. Now we're going to take our foot off the pedal to make things easier for us.
All I'm saying is you keep your powder dry until the summer. Like one of these teams
go say that to Connor. What are the conversations with Connor? But the thing is, what are the conversations with Connor before he signs that extension? I'm sure they weren't, hey, sign this extension so we can take the foot off the gas because it's not really there this year. We're going to take a couple more runs at it. But this year, the other teams are too good.
But Marek, what are they going to do? Renegotiate the contract? It's done. You know what the window is.
No, you're missing it. Like before signing that contract.
You're saying it's a betrayal?
What was the discussion? Well, I'm sure the discussion wasn't, hey, sign a 2-year contract extension or whatever so we can take our foot off the gas this year. I have a hard time believing that Connor McDavid's like, you know what? Yeah, let's do that. Connor McDavid is not just thinking about 1 cup. He's thinking about 2 cups and maybe 3.
I think the problem with your logic here is you assume that it was the Oilers having any say in what the term of this contract was going to be.
They didn't. No, they didn't.
Right.
But I'm sure that even him signing, part of the conversation is we're going for it. And I want 3 legitimate swings at this piñata. I don't want to like foot off the gas because Vegas might be too good this year or because look at what Colorado is doing and man, Dallas is going to win one of these seasons. I'm pretty sure the conversation was, I'll sign this, but we're going for it. Like I don't know a Connor McDavid that doesn't say that.
Sure.
And he gives you a 2-year extension and take your foot off the gas. I don't know, man. I don't know. I understand your logic. Hang on. Let me say this. I do understand your logic. I do think it applies more to Toronto than it does to Edmonton. Edmonton's right there. They're right there.
Yeah, are they?
And they have been for 2 years. They have Connor and Leon. If you can't win a Stanley Cup with Connor and Leon, shame on you.
I'm a little worried about this roster being sunken cost fallacy.
I'm
a little bit worried about this roster being deficient. And then they go and do some dumb things at the trade deadline out of the ticking time bomb that is the contract and regret it. Like I'd rather just keep their powder dry until the summer and really make a better team around these guys.
I want to get Zach involved here for one very specific reason, because there's a piece of audio that we have to hear from last night. Now, I was bouncing around last night. I missed this. But Zach says, we have to hear this. This is Rob Ray during the Sabres 5-1 beating of the Edmonton Oilers last night. I guess you've heard it. I haven't heard this yet, so this is virgin territory for me. Zach, go ahead.
Empty net. Sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
Yeah, empty net for Edmonton.
Yeah, it has been most of the night, so it's a difference.
Damn.
Ellis has been fantastic.
Oh,
that's just mean.
It's mean.
When the Sabres can dunk on your goaltending?
Well, that's just it too. Like I understand that. I mean, here come the palm trees, and I get it, but like that's like a decade's worth of frustration just coming out, and like finally I get to take a swipe at another team here and not apologize for my own. Rob Ray taking a swipe.
Yeah. Taking a swing, as Rob Ray does.
Man, was he ever tough. Man, did he ever get his equipment off fast, though. Like, all the guys that would fight would be like, man, those shoulder pads come off quick. That jersey came off quick.
It was like when Frank Drebin took his suit off in the Naked Gun, and he just pulled his collar, and the entire thing fell off him. It was Rob Rader in a fight.
Do you ever thought on Montreal right now? Is this just like, okay, this is like the regression we thought plus injuries, and this is just what's going to happen to the Montreal Canadiens? They're not always going to shoot 16%. They're not always going to shoot 5%, which they are now, but pendulums have a way of overcorrecting themselves. Do you have a quick thought on Habs?
My quick thought is that the injuries are going to really catch up with this team, which, listen, the top line is impeccable. It's one of the best lines in hockey. And one of their goalies has been fantastic, whilst the other one has not. But I mean, when you start to pile up Doc and Newhook and Goalie, who I really thought was going to have an amazing breakout year. And unfortunately, most people know his name now because he's on this parade of injuries. It all starts to add up and really undercut this team in a pretty significant way. I'd love if they could play through it. I just think that you're going to be over reliant on the Suzuki Caulfield line, and the rest of the team is just going to kind of atrophy, I think, with those guys out of the lineup.
All right, quick pause. This segment is a presentation of Bauer and the Bauer Pro Sharp Advant Edge. This at-home sharpener gives you the ability to sharpen your skates with pro-level precision at the touch of a button. Leveraged by decades of progressive innovation, this machine is designed to be as automated, precise, and convenient as possible. Easy to use, the Advant Edge features an interactive touch screen, user profiles, and has readily available how-to videos and troubleshooting tips to have you ready to sharpen like an expert. Whether you're sharpening skates in your garage, at the rink, or even on the road, take them to tournaments. The Advanced Edge at-home sharpener ensures that your skates are always game ready. Learn more about the Bauer Pro Sharp Advanced Edge at Bauer.com. Convenience is key for that device. All right, with that, we'll get back on the Toronto Maple Leafs page here with David Alter from the Hockey News, who covers the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it's never a dull moment. And this was the general. How are you, David? First of all, thanks a lot for coming aboard today. The annual mid-November update from the Maple Leafs general manager. Did anything stand out from Brad Treliving's address today, other than we had the shot in the arm, the confidence in the coach, which we always sort of look at sideways, but yeah, no. And we had an Austin Matthews sighting today as well. What stood out to you from the morning in Leafland?
Yeah, hey guys. I think the number one surprising thing for me was I didn't expect Brad Treliving to be so brutally honest about how things have kind of veered from his vision of what the identity of this team was supposed to be, using the term vanilla to describe it. That's kind of surprised me. And I know if I'm in that situation, I'm hoping I've heard that from him before that goes out to the media for sure, because there's been a couple of these moments now where there's been public comments about the team's identity dating back to Stolarz like 3-4 weeks ago when he kind of called out the team's performance in front of him to now. So, a lot of things are being said, and there just really hasn't been a lot of evidence. And the fact that Brad Treliving also talked about the fact that they probably have more wins than they deserve. He was pretty scathing about where his team was at despite the record. I thought he might take more of an optimistic tone, but that certainly wasn't the case.
That one really got me, David. Like when I was listening to Treliving and he's like, our record isn't indicative of how we're playing. I'm like, oh, he thinks they should be higher. He's like, no, actually, we suck more than our record would indicate, which is not something that I ever expected a GM to say. I did think it was a little bit on the nose when he showed up in that hot dog costume while talking about how vanilla the team is and being like, and we're all looking for the guy who did this. Brad Treliving, constructor of the Maple Leafs roster. His vote of confidence on Craig Berube included the phrase, he didn't become a bad coach overnight, to which I would say, David, he also wasn't a great coach before this fortnight. I'm not the biggest Craig Berube fan. I happen to think that the Blues winning the Cup that year was the perfect marriage of coach and team from a psychological standpoint. I think he was hired to do the same thing he did with the Blues, which is to kind of like make everybody forget all the demons and all the weight and all the troubles that you have during a season. And I think he found, unfortunately, that the Toronto Maple Leafs are as psychologically damaged a franchise in professional sports as you can find. Where are you on Berube? Do you think he's the right guy for this team? Do you think that he was ever the right guy for this team?
I think it's kind of hard because from a systemic standpoint, I 100% agree that I didn't think he was necessarily the right type of coach, but then everything I learned about how he operates kind of changed my mind on that, where it was almost kind of like an NFL type situation where if you have a head coach that can kind of be the voice and can kind of, motivate guys, but then you can delegate properly and have the best OC and DC that do all the nuts and bolts of it, and you can kind of stay out of it that way, then it could work. And so I thought, okay, given what he's been able to do last year, delegated all of the defensive stuff to Lane Lambert and really did kind of get the Leafs to play a different way. Like that actually did happen, despite some of the underlying analytics, like keeping everything out of the interior and just playing a tougher defensive type of hockey that translates better to the playoffs. I think he's done a good job in that regard, but all that's disappeared now. And I don't know why that's disappeared. I mean, there's theories about it with, Mitch Marner has been talked about and all the things he's brought in the regular season. But I think a lot of this is just doesn't seem to kind of be obvious as to where the accountability is supposed to be. If the coach isn't kind of flipping it around and doing it, then it's the core players, really. It's not getting enough from some of those guys. And for me, I think it's Berube may not be the right coach in the long term, but I think it's way too early given what he was able to show last year and the fact that it is still just 19 games into the season, that maybe he's got something up his sleeve. But just talking to everybody else, the fact that he delegates a lot leads me to believe that he's not going to come up with the strategic differences. It's going to be the people underneath him, and that might be the problem in the end.
From a construction point of view, not lost on anybody this is a team that lost to the Florida Panthers and lost to the Florida Panthers in a very specific way and got embarrassed on home ice in Game 7. Marner goes, and there's talk about bringing in heavier players, tougher players, playoff-style players, as opposed to leaning into the team that it already is/was. Do you think the Maple Leafs are guilty of trying to out-Panther the Panthers? Got beaten by the Panthers, so we need to be more like them to beat them, as opposed to leaning into the skill you already have. Is that fair?
I think it's fair, but I would also add that after Mitch Marner walked, which was a problem that Brad Treliving kind of inherited because he didn't really have that card to kind of move him, and you couldn't get the return from an elite player, there really wasn't anything out there on the open market to kind of do, and you've already mortgaged a lot of the future in some of these trade deadline deals that you made before. Right. So what you can't really lean into the more skill at that point with what's available. You really kind of have to just, okay, we haven't really had depth before. Let's add these guys who can maybe help us for where we've been the weakest, which is the playoffs. Like, I think everyone can kind of agree on that. And I think they thought to themselves, they can get through whatever turbulence they're going to get through in the regular season because they have these elite players who've been able to kind of help them win games when times are tough and they don't slide for very long. But this was the scenario that I don't think they envisioned, which is, well, what if they don't make it? So it's tough to say, because I do think that these players, on the face of it, would have helped over a Mitch Marner that didn't really help in that situation in the last playoffs. But you have to get there. And the chasm for what Mitch Marner brought to the team and what they're missing is deep. So that, and the fact that they're leaving the interior completely open on the defensive side is really kind of making the Leafs kind of scratch their heads, being like, did everyone just age out at the exact right time and they're just slower, or is there something fundamentally wrong here? And so I don't disagree with them trying to get deeper, because they just really haven't had the depth. And I guess Nick Ehlers might have been the best guy in free agency you could have decided, but then you have to pay him a lot. And then is that worth it? Or is that the right guy you can kind of pay to replace? It was a tough mix, but some of the problems they created and some of them they didn't. But when you go into the summer, I don't think they were really left with much of a choice given what they lost and what was available.
So then,
and what they, like you said, what they didn't get back from Marner because he had the move and everything. You know, what's interesting that Treliving said, and again, you lost 100-point winger who did everything in all facets of the game, who was a great regular season performer. One of the things that he said today was the enthusiasm deficit with this team. Like, they're not excited about any of this. And, say what you will about Mitchie, but he brought some excitement to the proceedings with the way that he played and just who he was. And then there's also excitement when you have a player like that on your roster. And there's also excitement when you are the Colorado Avalanche and you find a way to get Martin Necas to give you 75% of what you lost when you traded Mikko Rantanen, as opposed to maybe like 0.1% that Michelli gave them in trying to replace Marner.
Right.
How much is losing Marner contributing to that lack of enthusiasm this season? And is that code for guys like that have been on this team think that the window is now kind of closed because Marner's not here and there was no suitable replacement for him?
That's an interesting one. I don't think going into the season they felt that they would struggle as much without him to the point where they are now. They've had elite players. They've had to play games without him. They've demonstrated in the past, like in the 23-24 season, pretty late in the year when the games were tougher and harder to play and he was gone with an ankle injury, that they were still able to produce wins. They were still able to get good results. But now, certainly his enthusiasm would probably help when times are kind of slower, because like I look back at, 22, 23, 24, when the Leafs would notoriously get off to slow Octobers, but it wouldn't go beyond 3 or 4 games, and Mitch Marner was projecting positivity, and that can help, and it certainly helped in those situations. But sometimes not just addressing the problems head on and being too positive and kind of letting them drag on can be worse. And I think that's what you're seeing now. I just don't know if the players are necessarily looking in front of them and being like, we miss that type of guy. I really think what's happening now is there's been an attention to be better defensively and do all those things. And for whatever reason that worked last year in doing it, they have not been able to kind of get it together, and they've been disconnected all over the ice. They're not releasing the puck quick. When they get it, there's a bit of a hesitation. And I think right now there's just everyone's kind of making sure they're not that guy to make the next big mistake, not necessarily looking for help from within. Because I think they look around and they see this is what they're dealt with. There's not really much that's going to change between now and the end of the year.
Let me throw a theory at you here. This was a conversation from, I don't know, three weeks ago, maybe a month ago, that I had with someone who brought up the point that if you want to have a hungry team, if you want to have an aggressive team, if you want to have a team that does something, as uncomfortable as it may be as the manager, you need players on expiring contracts. The idea being, if you're not hungry, you won't eat. And maybe the most obvious example is the Florida Panthers last year with, all the guys that ended up re-signing. But do you look at this Maple Leafs team? Because this is the point this person was making. Said, no, the problem is no one's on an expiring contract. Everyone's really, really comfortable there. There's no uncomfortability. Oh, this guy's on the expiring deal. Do you think, would you look at the Maple Leafs and say that, you know what, maybe this person that Marek was talking to has something, there's something there? Or is that just a coincidence that, look at the Florida Panthers with all those guys on expiring deals and look how hungry they were? Could that be a contributing factor here?
I think it could help a little, because any former player I've talked to, while they'll never admit it, when they're playing, after the fact, when they retire, they say 100% they were turning it on in their contract year, right? 100%. They were 100%. So Nikolai Habibulin might be the best contract year player of all time. I think he, always in his final year, had the best save percentage before a contract. But
Sergei Samsonov was always my comparison for that. Samsonov would turn into Yager in his contract years, and then the rest of the time he was nothing.
Yeah. And as a time-restricted eater, your best focus is when you're a couple hours away from eating. But anyway, so going back into that, no, it does help. But I also think it's just everyone is a year older. The league is getting faster, and I'm of the belief. I know you guys talked about Chris Tanev and how much they miss him, and it is a factor. But the Leafs weren't playing great even with him in the lineup too. And still leaving a lot of that in the middle open. And I just wonder, their core is all in their 30s. It's another year, and with term, that at some point we all looked at those contracts and being like, well, that player may not play until whatever. And then they're going to have to figure out something. But there was also the possibility that what if everyone ages out at the same time? And then you have a disaster defensively. And I'm not saying that's happened, but it kind of looks pretty close to that. You're seeing Jake McCabe play the worst hockey I've seen him play in the last couple years, and he's admitted that. It's not great looking in that regard, but certainly if those guys were playing for contracts, or you had a core player that was kind of motivated to play for that certainly would help things, because I think that would kind of fuel a different kind of energy going into the game. Is it the excuse? I don't know, but I certainly think it can be a factor, because you talk to any former player and they say they've turned on the Jets in that final year, knowing that they've got to find their next meal ticket for sure.
It's just so funny. Everybody falls over themselves praising the Leafs for getting Brandon Carlo and Chris Tanev, and then Bedard and Celebrini pop off this year, and it's it's a young man's league. They got a bunch of redwoods back there. What are they doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, or the Maple Leafs kids. David, it's been great. Thanks for sharing your expertise. Really appreciate it. I know it's a game day. It's always. Oh, by the way, so here's a question: is this must win for the Maple Leafs tonight? Greg's snickering at me. Our producer Zach Phillips is like, "Oh yeah, it's a must-win game, 100%." What do you say, Dave? Now that the Sabres have just beaten the Oilers 5-1 and they're dueling for the basement, is this a must-win for the Maple Leafs against the Blues?
I think it's tough. This certainly had a feeling of tension in the availability today that I probably would have said no, but just given the timing of everything, yeah, it probably is a bit of a must win because I think it's getting a little tighter in that room. Like you can feel that there's tension, and if they don't get some sort of positive result soon, then it can get worse. So yeah, let's say must win for sure.
Can I just give you briefly my master plan?
Oh boy.
Yeah, go for
it. You shut down Matthews for the season, but let him play in the Olympics because obviously
that's a good message to Leaf fans.
Said the American.
You finished with the worst record in hockey.
All right.
You finished with the worst record in hockey. The pick that you gave Boston's top 5 protected, and you draft Gavin McKenna as your new Marner. I don't understand how there's any flaw in this plan, personally.
Well,
listen, the one thing I will say, the one thing I will say, if this wasn't the Toronto market and this is the Leafs going through it, I don't know if it'd be as big, or another team going through it. I don't know if it's that big a deal because they've been so consistent for 9 consecutive regular seasons that every good elite team has missed the playoffs at some point en route to winning a Stanley Cup. It seems to have happened. Vegas, is a good example where they missed the year before. That this consistency maybe hasn't given them the right kind of adversity to kind of adjust for those playoff moments. But I don't know, that plan, that's going to be a hard sell for Leaf fans.
I would give $1 billion to hear Brad Treliving try to sell the market on, every team has to miss the playoffs before it wins the cup.
Yeah.
Go to the bottom before you go to the top. Like we all know this.
The code word is adversity, right? Like he wouldn't say playoffs, but he would say adversity. And that's a blanket word. So there you go.
Interesting times. David, appreciate it. Enjoy the game tonight. Continued great work on the hockey news. We appreciate this.
Thank you, guys. It was fun. Thank you.
The great David Alter, who covers the Toronto Maple Leafs, was at the Brad Treliving press conference this morning, covering the game tonight for the Maple Leafs facing off against the St. Louis Blues. I got a couple of sort of janitorial things here to get to. Any sort of parting words from you? Anything you're looking forward to? Anything you'd like to promote? Anything you'd like to direct our attention towards? Greg, harmonica playing goaltenders is what we started today. So the floor is all yours.
As you guys know, I tend to gravitate towards the quirkier side of hockey at times.
No, Puck Daddy, you don't.
And I have a story on ESPN.com right now that I'm not sure if you saw, Marek. There is a team called the Spruce Grove Saints. You may know them.
Yes.
From the British Columbia Hockey League, a Canadian junior team. Their mascot is an angel named Chucky.
Okay.
And Chucky the mascot is portrayed this season by a 14-year-old boy named Eric, which I thought was kind of fascinating to begin with, that there's a 14-year-old whose job is to be a mascot at junior hockey games. Mm-hmm. Now, what's another name for the penalty box, Marek?
Sin bin.
The Sin Bin. Okay.
Did I get it right?
So now,
I'm new to this game.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Now at Saints games, when the visiting team has been penalized and there's somebody in the Sin Bin during a TV timeout, Chucky the Angel mascot will skate over to the penalty box. And we got the footage, and stand silently
frickin'
judging the player. And so Eric did this the other night. He's done it 3 times so far this season. It's his first year as Chucky the Angel. He's done it 3 times this season where he just stands there staring at the opposing player, judging him, asking him to repent for his sins in the sin bin. And twice now, the player that he's done this to has been unable to not break out into laughter.
How could you not?
The angel stands in judgment of him. It's honestly one of the most ingenious things I've seen in the mascot world in a very long time. In a post gritty world.
Hang on,
I interviewed the kid last night. The stories on ESPN. You can read it there.
I can't wait to read this. They let the mascot on the ice.
TV timeout.
I get it, but like this is one of the most brilliant things I've seen. Just stand there
Right.
quietly judging.
It's
It's like
quietly
this is
judging the
it's not a
player.
penalty box. It's like you're in confessional with this mascot.
So for those watching on YouTube, the player that's cracking up right now in the penalty
Oh
box,
my
this
God,
guy
what's up? From the Vernon Vipers.
who played for the Vernon Vipers,
Yeah.
he ended up later scoring his first goal of the season to tie the game and send it into overtime. And so I asked Eric, the 14-year-old mascot performer who came up with this bit, how did it feel to see the guy that you were mocking in the penalty box eventually score a big goal in the game? And he said, clearly he had repented for his sins and therefore was blessed to score a big goal later in the game. It's a great story.
The Lord,
I'm so happy to write
The Lord
it.
guided that puck. Jesus touched these gloves. Wow.
Oh, what? And
That's
then one last
amazing.
thing, because I know you've got some housekeeping
Wow,
to do.
that's good.
The show, our last show was Thursday. The significant injury news that impacted my New Jersey Devils was Friday.
Yes.
And let me say that I am extremely happy that it doesn't seem like there was major tendon damage to Jack Hughes, and that it is 6 to 8 weeks, a very long time. But obviously the Devils are unfortunately used to playing without Jack in the lineup. The second thing is,
should shut him down till after the Olympics.
no,
Bring him back
that's
after
the Austin
Olympics.
Matthews.
Shut him
That's the
down
Austin
and shut Matthews down till after the Olympics too.
The second thing is, how to put this? I'm really upset that it ended up not being a steak knife and it ended up being glass, because the humor and the jokes and the memes surrounding the steak knife were so much better than about the glass. Like the idea he cut himself cutting Luke's meat for him, or people running the video from Aliens where Bishop the android is doing the knife trick with his hand. Like all the knife jokes were better than the broken glass jokes. And the last thing I'll say, and I do mean this because I'm the one who kind of
The
publicized this yesterday.
Glenn Ross jokes. Glenn Ross memes.
A
would
set
have
of steak
been all
knives,
those
exactly.
steak knives.
I do want to say this because I'm the one who publicized it yesterday on social media. Please don't Yelp bomb or Google review bomb.
Oh no! Don't
the
do that with
Chicago
the restaurant. No,
Steakhouse.
don't.
My God, I went on Yelp yesterday knowing
do
that this
that.
was probably going to be the case, and it was. There's like 6 reviews, 1-star reviews for the steakhouse in Chicago saying,
Don't do
"Don't
that.
eat here if you're an
No.
NHL player. They'll cut your finger off." Please don't do that to places.
Don't do that.
The economy
Don't do
sucks. These places need to do as well as they
No
can. A
kidding.
bunch of
Don't do
1-star
that.
reviews from disgruntled hockey fans
Don't.
does nobody any good. Don't review bomb the steakhouse in Chicago, people.
Don't be that person. Great PSA. And great job as always. You be good. We will, when am I going to talk to you again? Tuesday. I'll see you Tuesday. No, Thursday.
Well,
Thursday.
today is
Thursday.
Tuesday.
What day is today?
We'll talk
my days
Thursday.
are all-
I mean, they're
my
both
days are all messed.
they both start with T. You can understand his confusion, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to everybody for watching. Thanks to everybody in the chat, and thanks to David. And I will see you guys Thursday.
Thursday. That is 2 days from now. Thanks, Wish, from ESPN and ESPN.com. This segment, by the way, a presentation of Prime Monday Night Hockey. Prime Monday Night Hockey streams all national regular season Monday night NHL games on Prime Video in Canada and is available free to Prime members in Canada. Stream Prime Monday Night Hockey exclusively on Prime Video and experience thrilling goals and dramatic plays from the NHL. Monday nights are hockey nights. Don't miss a moment of the action. Monday, November 24th, the Ottawa Senators head to Crypto.com Arena to take on Adrian Kempe and his millions, along with the Los Angeles Kings. Check out the link in our description for the Prime Monday Night Hockey schedule on Prime Video, or go to primevideo.com/NHL. Also on Prime Video, Faceoff Inside the NHL Season 2. Subscribe with a 30-day free trial to Prime Video to watch Monday Night Hockey and the new season of Faceoff. Download the app or go to primevideo.com. And also, the sheet, as always, is powered by FanDuel. Play your game with FanDuel. Zach's going to join us here in a second. It's the NHL season, and FanDuel is your home for all the action on the ice. From Blue Line to Bet Slip, we've got you covered all season with unique promos live offerings, and more features to let you play your game. Missed puck drop? No sweat. With a live same-game parlay, you can build your bets up until the final buzzer. Download FanDuel Sportsbook today and play your game. Please play responsibly, 18 plus and physically located in Ontario. If you have questions or concerns about the gambling or the gambling of someone close to you, please contact Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600 to speak to an advisor free of charge. What are we looking at tonight to wrap up the program? Zach.
Another themed parlay. We talk about the same game parlays
again.
Here. This one, we're going to keep it Leaf themed, sticking with the theme of the show and what's on the line tonight in Toronto against the St. Louis Blues. So let's just go right to it. I'll explain why each of these is being put in here, Jeff, but starting with Leaf It to Me. William Nylander goal. William Nylander to have four more shots on goal.
More shots, yeah.
Leafs to win, and the over 5.5 goals in the game. I'll just quickly break this down for people. This one's plus 810. $5 wins you $40.52 tonight. Nylander held 2 consecutive games without a shot on goal for the first time since 2019.
He's due.
He's traditionally being a guy who he responds though in these situations. I'm hoping it's with a goal tonight. If not, well then this thing's screwed. But at bare minimum, he's gonna shoot the puck a lot. I do think he will score. I think the Leafs have to win tonight.
Yeah.
That traditionally doesn't mean they will, but I'm gonna pray here that they do and snap this. And then over 5.5 goals. Look, reality is the Leafs can score. They can score.
Yes, totally.
Very well.
I don't know about the defending part, but they can score. That team can score.
Keeping the puck out of their net,
not their strongest suit. Yes, correct.
So there's a chance tonight that they win 6-5. Nylander has 7 shots on goal. He scores. And we all walk out of here with $40 more than we had when we came into the show today.
Which would make everybody, starting with you, on your post-game show, very happy. Everybody tune into Leafs Nation After Dark.
We can call off the fall off for Verhoff or the I don't even. I don't
doing
have
all
a
the
new
all
one
the
for
cutesy doing all the cutesy names for all the. You have one for Ethan Belkets yet? The Windsor Spitfires.
No, but Stephen Ellis did tell me to keep an eye on Stenberg. I think it was.
Oh yeah, Ivar. Yeah,
so
he's a real nice player.
I was trying to think of something along the lines of I think it was Berkey had the line about the truck off the cliff, the 18-wheeler.
Yeah.
We could kind of turn this into something more along the lines like Stenberg, Iceberg.
Iceberg for Stenberg?
It's ice. Yeah, you get where
Iceberg
I'm going
for
with that
Stenberg?
one. Yeah.
Book I was just looking at before the show today. Speaking of Iceberg, no joke.
You were reading the Titanic.
We're talking about Leafs today. I guess see if I can get any Titanic metaphors ready. So just glancing through that one, nothing jumped out at me, but nonetheless was a peek into my stupid brain. Okay, Zach, we look forward to the post-game show tonight after the Toronto Maple Leafs and the St. Louis Blues for you, and hope it is lucrative as well. That's always a big part of your show with the Super Chats. So get involved there. Thanks to Greg Wyshynski, as always, for stopping by on this. Is it Thursday or Tuesday edition of The Sheet? Thanks to David Alter, who was outstanding, and we should probably have on more often. Talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Brad Treliving press conference this morning. We'll see what happens tonight against the St. Louis Blues. I know this was a Toronto-heavy show today. Want to let you know as well, and I'll tweet this out for others too. No show tomorrow. I'm on the road for a couple of days, back on Thursday, and then shows on Thursday, Friday to conclude this week, going to the Oilers-Capitals game tomorrow at Capital One. Okay, thanks to everyone for listening. Thanks to everybody for watching as well and interacting and subscribing to our Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. Thank you. Much appreciated. Don't forget Morning Cup of Hockey every morning, Monday to Thursday, 9 o'clock Eastern, and then DFO Live, Daily Faceoff Live. Had a good conversation today about different rule changes with Tyler Yaremchuk and Carter Hutton. Check that one out in the archive if you are so inclined. In the meantime, enjoy the games tonight. We'll talk to you Thursday at 1 o'clock for The Sheet. Jeff Merrick along with you. Hope you enjoyed the program today. If you did, or maybe even if you didn't, they can't all be gems, folks. Please hit the subscribe button. Also a reminder, every morning, 9 a.m. Eastern, Johnny Lazarus, Colby Cohen, I call them the Impact Players. You might know them as a tandem that makes up the Morning Cup of Hockey. Also DFO Live at noon Eastern. This year, your host Tyler Yaremchuk alongside Carter Hutton. Full day's worth of programming right here on Daily Faceoff, your favorite YouTube hockey channel. And as a reminder as well, Zach Phillips, our producer here for the sheet, said if you subscribe, he'll buy you a puppy. It's true.